Welcome to the Get Fit Guys, quick and dirty tips to get moving and shape up. My name is Brock Armstrong and I am the Get Fit Guy. For many people, motivating yourself to actually exercise is an ongoing project. And many of us struggle with getting and staying motivated when it comes to our exercise and our movement practices. But in his new book, today's guest, Joe Sena, shares a few ways to get off the couch and stay off the couch. For some people, simply working out, is hard. For others, maintaining the motivation to work out is even harder. In fact, a University of Alberta study concluded that people are more likely to throw in the towel on an exercise program when their life or slow progress gets in the way. The study actually followed 273 people who identified themselves as being sedentary between the ages of 35 and 65. The participants were asked to do a structured series of strength and cardio sessions 3 times per week for 1 year. Now, after the year was up, the author of this study interviewed some of the people who completed the program, along with some of the 60% of participants who dropped out. Now, yes, you heard that right. 60% of the people in the study dropped out before the year was up. And in my estimation, that's a pretty high attrition rate, given that they were only asked to go to the gym for 1 hour 3 times per week. But you know what? You likely don't need a study to tell you that adhering to an exercise program is tough. We all struggle with motivation from time to time, and as a coach, I often feel more like a cheerleader than the fitness architect that I see myself as, and that means that I'm always on the lookout for new ways to keep my athletes motivated. Now, I recently I devoured Joe Sena's new book called The Spartan Way: Eat Better, Train Better, Think Better, Be Better, which literally left me chatting excitedly to anyone who would listen to me about the new ways that I was learning about how to motivate and be motivated. Now, I recently had a chance to interview Joe about his new book, and I got him to dive deeper into some of the ideas that he writes about. And I'm going to share that interview with you in just a second. But as well as being an author, Joe is the founder and CEO of the Spartan Obstacle Race. He's also the executive producer of NBC's television show called Spartan: The Ultimate Team Challenge. In this interview that I'm going to play for you in a second, Joe digs into his theories of personal motivation and why he thinks that people fail to follow through on their fitness goals. Now let's jump into that interview right now. Okay, so people who've been listening to this podcast for a while probably remember an episode I did not that long ago that sort of covered all of the obstacle course races, or not all of them, but I tried to do a good job of summing them all up. And in that episode, I talked about what makes Spartan races different from the other ones. But since I have the man himself right here, I want to get it from the horse's mouth. Joe, can you tell us what makes Spartan races different and unique in the world of obstacle courses?
I didn't even know there was any other kind of race. But if you're telling me there are, I trust you. I think the reason we're different is we come at it from a different place. We come at it from 2,500 years of history around commitment and discipline and hard work. We hold people accountable, and it's a sport first and foremost. It's very athletic in nature. In other words, we're never going to do anything or ask you to do anything that's silly or meant to just hurt you or put you in danger. It's always meant to get us one step closer to being an Olympic sport, because when you think about the history of Sparta, they're very tied to the Olympics. They're very tied to all these attributes that we're looking to add to the community that we've built. So I think a lot of other obstacle races are really in it for the business of putting on an event. And when you're in it for that, and you're not in it to change the world like we are, where we want to get people thinking differently, eating differently, training differently, I think it oozes out of the brand. And that's the difference.
I think that's a fabulous answer. And in terms of my experience with Spartan, in my way of approaching fitness, and long-term listeners of this podcast will know this, I first and foremost define fitness as being something that actually applies to life, things that will keep us safe, things that will keep us healthy and give us longevity. And perhaps things that we've needed to do in the past as a species, but don't necessarily need to do anymore. And I think the Spartan races really address all of those issues. Like if you can complete a Spartan race, you can probably do pretty well in a zombie apocalypse.
That's right. That's right. I hope there's not. I hope there's not a zombie apocalypse coming. But I agree with that 100%. What is coming, what we know is coming to every human being on Earth, is tough times.
Yeah.
Because we all are going to face adversity, not once, not twice, but hundreds of times in our life. And so, just like anything else that you aspire to be good at, you have to practice. And so this is the practice, just like people practice yoga or they practice meditation. This is the practice of adversity. And it does wonderful things. It not only makes you good at dealing with the bad stuff when it comes, but it does something else. It actually makes you happy. I was recently doing a video and I said, there's this global search for happiness, and we're going down the wrong road, right? We are chasing happiness through the acquisition of things, more stuff.
Yeah.
If I only was dating that girl, if I was only dating that man, if I only could climb that mountain, if I only had that car, and actually, you'll never get happy because it's never enough. And so the way to become happy, this dirty little secret that exists that no one seems to know or want to know, is you need to take stuff away to be happy. Because when you have nothing, you appreciate everything. When you have everything, you appreciate nothing.
It's true. You have a new book out, and that's what we really should get into talking about, called The Spartan Way: Eat Better, Train Better, Think Better, and Be Better. And I think what you were just talking about right there feeds very well into, or comes across really well in that book. And one of the things that I think most people have a lot of trouble with, and that the book and what you were just talking about addresses, is motivation. Like getting motivated, staying motivated, even choosing what to be motivated about. Like instead of being motivated about getting more things, being motivated to maybe get rid of a few things is something that people really struggle with. Now, the book does a really great job of keeping people motivated, but in sort of a nutshell, can you give us a few actionable items, like either from the book or just from your own life, about motivation?
Motivation is elusive, right? That's the hardest one. That's the number one question I get asked.
Yes.
Is, hey, Joe, what if I'm not motivated? The reality is none of us are motivated. Human beings are seeking safety and comfort. And so it's hard to muster up that energy to get out of your comfort zone, because ultimately, if it wasn't hard, you wouldn't need the motivation for it. Or you don't need motivation to get on the couch. You don't need motivation to go to bed. You need motivation to do the hard stuff. What the Olympic athletes will tell you, what the billionaire businessmen will tell you, what the monks will tell you, it starts with that very simple cliche of it starts with one step at a time. And to take that first step. And you can tell yourself in your mind, you know what? I'm not going to do the marathon today. I'm not going to bike for 5 hours. I'm not going to spend the whole day in the office. You can tell yourself that you're just going to do a tiny little bite-sized piece, and it's okay. And if you do that, invariably what happens is you end up putting in the time and completing what you weren't motivated to do to begin with. What I mean by that is I'm not motivated to do 300 burpees. So I tell myself, you know what? I'm just going to do 3, and that's okay.
Yeah.
3 turns into 30. 30 turns into 90. 90 turns into 300, right? And I've talked to all the masters around the world from all different walks of life with all different disciplines and things that they're trying to be better at. And that is the number one way to chew an elephant, is one bite at a time.
Yes. I've heard a saying, I think it's don't look for motivation, make motivation. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about there.
No doubt about it. You have to make it. You have to manufacture it, because very few of us are triple type A personalities where we're just wired to be moving and shaking and get out of our comfort zone. There's a very small percentage of people. And even those people, even myself, I'm a triple A. I wake up, I'm energized. But there are lots of things that are out of my comfort zone that I don't want to do. And so we all have those things, right? And those are the things we need motivation for. And so you start out with a tiny little step, and one step leads to another step.
Well, and in the book, you talk a lot about like finding your North Star or finding your true north or your Polaris or whatever you want to call it, and using that as a way to stay motivated, but also to stay on track. And I found that to be a really, really important part of the book, because I think a lot of the times our motivation wanes because we're not sure what we're working towards. How do you explain to people how to find their true calling or find that thing that they should stay motivated to move towards?
Well, finding a true north is very, very hard. And a very small percentage of people have found their true north. And when you do, it's going to pull you through life rather than you pushing through life.
Yeah.
And so you've heard these questions asked, what would you do if you had all the money in the world? What would you do if today was your last day on earth? And those are questions that are attempting to help you find your true north. But the better question to ask yourself is, what would I do if I knew I was going to fail anyway?
Wow.
Because if you were willing to do it, knowing that failure was on the horizon, you probably love it. You're probably made for it, right? And that's the thing you should be doing. Now, the problem is most people sit still while they're trying to find their true north. And it doesn't work that way. The way you find it is you got to be doing stuff. Something in motion stays in motion. So you might not be doing the thing you love. You might not be doing your true north, but that's okay because it leads to the next thing, which leads to the next thing. And then you got to be in motion. You're not going to find it on the couch.
And then, so once you do find that true north or that North Star, how do you fit that into staying motivated?
Well, it's a lot easier, right? If my true north, and by the way, your true north could change throughout your life.
Yeah.
Mine has changed 3 times. But once you find it, you wake up and it's like rolling a rock downhill. If my true north was being extremely healthy and helping others get motivated to be healthy, well, if that truly is my true north, well, I wake up with a kick in my step. This is the thing I want to do. I'm excited about it, even when I'm not getting paid, even when times are tough. Like, this is my thing. If my true north is to be the best family man there ever was, well, I'm excited to be around the kids. I'm excited to be with my wife. If my true north was to climb mountains and set a world, like, that's what I'm doing every day. I love it. I'm made for this. Right?
Yeah.
Look, there's still going to be tough days, but there are a lot, they're far and few between. It's not like getting in traffic and driving to that job that you just absolutely hate.
That's good that you mentioned that there are tough days and there's always going to be some obstacles and stuff. There's one story that you told in the book about I think it was the 1996 British rowing team.
Yes. Will it make the boat go faster?
Yeah. Can you tell that story? That I found that to be incredibly motivational and also just something I'm going to use, I think, for the rest of my life to keep me on track.
I'll tell you, I'm going to sound crazy as an author saying this, but the book's really good. Right?
It is really good.
It's a really good book. I laugh when I say it because I would imagine every author thinks that about their books, but I really like this book. And this story about will it make the boat go faster is one of my favorite stories.
Me too, yeah.
We can all apply it to our lives. And really the concept is this rowing coach says, look, guys, we're going to go into the Olympics. We've got X amount of months to train for this thing. It's almost impossible that we earn the gold, but we're going to try something new. Every single decision we make on a daily basis, we're going to ask ourselves, will it make the boat go faster? Hey, guys, let's go out for ice cream tonight. We worked hard. Ask the question, will it make the boat go faster? If the answer is no, ice cream's not going to make the boat go faster, then we're not going to have ice cream. Hey, guys, we worked really hard this week. Let's go out with our girlfriends. Will it make the boat go faster? The answer is no. We're not going out with our girlfriends, right? And so if you approach life that way and you're really focused on a goal and you ask the question, will this get me closer to my goal? Well, I can guarantee you, you are more likely to achieve that goal than not. And sure enough, they win the gold medal. Now, the contra argument to that is, well, Joe, you got to have some fun. Also, I was with one of our female athletes 2 days ago, a 28-year-old phenom, one of the best athletes we've ever seen. She's always on the podium. I mean, she's running 5:30 miles. She's amazing. She's got a VO2 max at the level of Olympian. And she said to me, oh, you're not going to be happy. I was having wine the other night. I ate a whole pizza. And I thought to myself, like, clearly you can't be upset if you don't get first place. Because you had to ask yourself that question, like, the World Championship is coming up in a week.
Yeah.
Will eating this pizza, this whole pizza, get me closer to winning the World Championship? Will drinking this wine get me? And the answer is no. And so if people will say, well, Joe, everybody's got to have some fun. She works so hard. Okay, but then don't get upset if she doesn't get first place. You can't get upset. You can't have it both ways. So I understand that you can't have everything in life, and that life should be moderate, according to most people, and that you got to have time for wine, and you got to have time for this, and you got to have time for that. That's okay. I'm not arguing those merits. What I'm saying is it depends what you want. My wife and I were running the New York Marathon. Along the way, I kept saying, all right, we got to keep moving here. I know you want to stop, but we can't. We got to get the water and keep moving, and she would get upset at me and say, hang on a second, slow down, let's enjoy it. We were 5 feet from the finish line, and she looked up and she saw the time, and she got upset that she didn't go 1 minute faster. And I said, hang on a second. The last 26.2 miles, you told me we should enjoy ourselves. We should stop. We should walk a little here and there. That's okay. But not if you wanted to go 1 minute faster.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
It does. That makes perfect sense. It's about accepting the consequences of making that decision. And by having that question in your mind, like, will it make the boat go faster? If the answer is no, but you still choose to do it, at least you've gone through the thought process.
That's exactly right.
You're not just doing it because you're lazy or because you're lacking motivation. You're doing it because you're making a choice, but you have to accept the consequences of that choice.
And I think people just really need to understand the sacrifice required to achieve goals. If you want that goal, there's a great guy we did a video with, the rap preacher. And he tells a story. I don't know if you know the story.
I don't know.
He tells a story. It's a fantastic story where there's a guy approaching the preacher. And he says, I want to make money. I want to be rich. I want to get out of this ghetto, get out of this neighborhood. The guy says, you want to make money? Meet me on the beach at 5 a.m. And the kid says to himself, I don't understand. I want to make money. Why do I have to meet him on the beach? And he brings him out to the beach. And he says, you want to make money? Come out with me in the water. And they start walking in the water. And this young kid is saying to himself, I don't understand. I want to make money. Why are we in the water? This makes no sense. Come a little further out in the water. Come a little further out in the water. Now they're neck deep in the water. The kid's still not getting it. I don't understand. Preacher pushes the kid underwater, holds him underwater. And the kid's fighting for air. And he bursts up. And he takes a big gulp of air. He says, when you want to make money as bad as you want to breathe, then you're going to make money, right? When you're willing to go 24 hours without sleep, without food, without whatever it takes to make, then you're going to make money. Same thing applies to the British rowing team. Same thing applies to whoever out there is trying to, attain some goal, whatever it is. When you want it as bad as you want to breathe, you're likely to achieve it. Until then, it's just a discussion, right?
Yeah.
It's just something, it's a nice thing to talk about.
The book is filled with stories like that. And I feel like I wish I had bought and I still may, I've got the Kindle version, but I want to get the paperback version so I can not only actually fill out the sections. There's a lot of sections in the book that actually would require putting some notes in and putting some action plans in place and stuff. But I also feel like this is one of those books where you could just randomly open it to a page if you need one of those hell yeah moments to get you fired up, because it's filled with great stories like that. And thank you for telling that story. It's just another one to throw on the pile.
No problem.
Now, like, speaking of plans, in the book there are these sections where you fill in your name and you put your goals and things like that down. I feel like that's another large missing piece when people are lacking motivation. Even if they know where they want to go, the plan seems to be the last thing on their mind. Do you have any idea why is this step so often missed in our life? Why do we not put a plan in place even when we have a goal?
It's funny, right? Because if you're going to drive your car, you would lay out on a map how you're going to get to your location. You would type into the GPS a destination, which would lay out a plan on the map to get you there. People do it with vacations. They plan out their vacation.
Sure.
But I think the reason people don't plan is because you've got to actually commit to this thing, which is going to be hard. And then laying out the actual plan reinforces the depth of the amount of work that you're going to have to do to get there. And so people are just kind of glossing over the hard work. At the end of the day, when something's not done, it's almost always because the work wasn't done. It just required work.
Yeah.
And most people don't want to do the work. They don't want it as bad as they want to breathe. You know, I wish I could say, based on our earlier part of the conversation, that even with your true north, it's going to be easy. But it's not. Life is not easy. Life requires work. Anything good requires work. And, you know, the book doesn't come with a pill. It doesn't come with like some magic lightning bolt in a bottle that all of a sudden, if you drink it, you're going to just get things done. These are like ancient principles that need to be mastered, and they require hard work. And so when you're ready to do, you know, I tell people, look, I'll give you your money back. If you read the book, you're not going to do the work, give me the book back. I'll give it to somebody who's willing to do the work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, you know, most people quit. Like if you just didn't quit, you're 90% more likely to be successful.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just don't quit.
I didn't count how many pages were in between each time that this phrase was said, but as you're going through the book, every once in a while, there, in all caps, there would be the words "get off the couch!" exclamation point throughout the book. I found that to be kind of amusing at first, but then motivational as the book went on. And I guess that's sort of reflected in your life, it sounds like.
No, that's it. I never want to be sitting still. I watched my mother die at a young age. My father died, and I have lots of friends that went to jail or died, and I think I really recognize how precious life is, and I don't want to be a passerby or standing on the side, a spectator. I want to be like in the game, and the game requires you to get up and get outside, and rain or shine, or just be in it.
Well, I think that is a fantastic place to leave off. Thank you so much for coming on the Get Fit Guy podcast today. And I encourage everybody to go out and check out not only this new book, which is called The Spartan Way, Eat Better, Train Better, Think Better, Be Better, but also you've got a couple other books, Spartan Up and Spartan Fit. Spartan
Up and Spartan Fit. Those two are ours. And then we've got a Spartan Up podcast as well, if anybody wants to check that out.
Yeah, I encourage everybody to check that out for sure, and to sign up for a Spartan race. Like I said before, it really is, I think, one of the greatest ways to measure your fitness as a human on this planet. Not just can you run in a straight line for a really long time, or can you bench press a certain amount of weight, but actually can you do things like lift your own body weight over a wall, which is not only a fun thing to do, but it's an important thing to do sometimes.
You just gave me an idea for an advertising campaign.
Oh, yeah?
How do you measure up? I think people would want to know how they measure up.
We spend a lot of time trying to measure up to things on social media all the time. So this would be a lot more meaningful than that.
All right, cool. Thanks for having me.
Now, one last thing before we wrap up. Make sure to pick up Joe's book, The Spartan Way, Eat Better, Train Better, Think Better, and Be Better. And If you're like me, I advise you to actually buy the hardcover version of the book so you can, well, excitedly write all over the thing. Now, for more motivational info and planning tips and to join in the Spartan conversation, head over to facebook.com/getfitguy or twitter.com/getfitguy, and you can also find me at brockarmstrong.com. Now, my name is Brock Armstrong, and I am the Get Fit Guy, asking you, what are you waiting for? Go get fit, the Spartan way.